Florida's 6-week abortion ban is going into effect today, 1 month after the state Supreme Court ruled in favor of the measure. It will become one of the strictest in the nation. The new ban has an exception for saving a woman's life, as well as in cases that involve rape and incest. Before today, abortions have been permitted up to 15 weeks into pregnancy. Florida had been a place where women from southern states who had tightened laws against abortions had fled to receive terminations.
Meanwhile, in Arizona today, state Democratic senators are making a final push to repeal the state's near-total ban on abortion that dates back to 1864. The vote to repeal the ban narrowly cleared the Arizona House last week, and if passed by the Senate, it's expected to be signed by Democratic Governor Katie Hobbs. Democratic Arizona senators have signaled they will get votes in the narrowly divided chamber from at least 2 Republicans that they are needed in order to pass this repeal.
Yeah, no surprise there. We saw how quickly Carrie Lake ran from her repeated affirmations of how much she loved this 1864 anti-abortion ban back before Dobbs, back before it really came, back when people were still protected by Roe v. Wade and Casey, and before those laws were able to take effect because the federal protections were stripped by Trump's Supreme Court picks. So it's clear that Republicans are now running terrified. This 6-week abortion ban in Florida is going to be another difficult reality for Republicans to contend with. They said they wanted this state by state. Well, now in a deep red Republican state, women have 6 weeks to figure out that they're pregnant and figure out how to take care of it, or else they will be criminally liable for terminating their pregnancies. If your period has ever been 2 weeks late, watch out. You got to take a pregnancy test and not just ask yourself what's the normal kind of things that happen in a woman's anatomy.
Yeah, look, what is there for me to say? 6 weeks is too aggressive for me. I don't support that. I think it's too unpopular to run on. We'll see if it survives in Florida, a red state that voted solidly for DeSantis, but in other, deeply conservative places in the country, abortion bans that are even less restrictive than that have not fared well. I don't think this is something Republicans nationally want to run on. Obviously, I think they know that this especially is not popular. When you're up to the 15-week bans with some exceptions, you end up getting about still only like 50% of support in national polling. According to the latest data I've seen, this is going to get way less support. So I don't think Republicans are going to be talking about it much or promising to bring it to other states.
Certainly will be. I was listening to the Pod Save America a week or so ago, and they were talking about the kind of disproportionate focus in Biden's campaign commercial spending on ads that specifically talk about the issue of abortion. It does seem like Republicans have really stepped on it. Every time abortion has been on the ballot over the course of the last year or two, people have overwhelmingly come out in favor of restoring their right to choose. We've seen this in state after state, including states that are far from blue, states like Kansas, states like Ohio. And those are real, I think, microcosms for how this issue is perceived in the entire country. So again, with conservatives really emphasizing that they think that this should be a state-by-state approach, I think it's become increasingly clear that that means that women across the country in red states are going to be subject to the vagaries of very conservative, very right-wing administrations in those states that think that it's appropriate to have a 6-week abortion deadline.
Yeah. What can I say? I don't think those things are going to end up being popular. I do think the state-by-state approach on this issue that divides people and people have a range of opinions on is the only way to proceed, and states that enact abortion restrictions that are too aggressive will face, the politicians who do that will face electoral consequences, as they're already facing those consequences. And nationally, the party has been scared away in most cases from saying that there should be any kind of federal abortion policy. But this is something obviously Democrats want to continue talking about and campaigning on, and they have every right to do so. Those laws are being made, and a lot of people agree with them that they're not good. And if there is going to be one saving grace for Joe Biden's re-election campaign, it is probably this.
Yeah, I agree. Joe Biden brought this issue up when he was in Tampa last week. Vice President Kamala Harris will be going to Jacksonville, Florida, to talk about the ban today. When asked about the ban, Joe Biden says there's one person responsible for this nightmare, Donald Trump. I think we're going to see a lot of that line of attack, and it's hard to quibble with it. Ron DeSantis was asked yesterday about Joe Biden's claims, and he responded with a dismissive, according to the New York Times. He went on to say, I welcome Biden and Harris to spend a lot of money in Florida, light up the airwaves. We're fine with you doing that, but I can confidently predict that you will see Republican victories, not just at the top of the ticket, but up and down the ballot. I wouldn't be so confident. Florida is an interesting state. I bring this statistic up a lot, but it is true that this is a state that at the same time voted, when at the same time it voted for Donald Trump, it also voted with 60% of the public to support a ballot measure to raise the minimum wage to a $15 minimum wage. People have a diversity of views there, and I would hazard a guess that people's feelings about reproductive freedoms are even more to the left than their feelings about something like a $15 minimum wage, since it's such an essential right for so many people.
Yeah, well, we will see. More rising right after this.